Connection, the leader held on for third, then Terryama Quencher, a gap, Turner's Shades of
Now, I've got to correct one thing. I've just performed a gender operation on Tahuna Gold. It is a filly, but most of the others in the race were geldings. 12 to 1, 11 to 2 and 10 to 1. Aaron Spiteri, a good ride on the winner for trainer John Gunning. Richard.
Yes, that was actually, you saw that again. You saw in the Cuny a horse get a run through on the inside, stick to the inside rail and hold off the one finishing out wide, and it happened there again, where Tahuna Gold got to the inside track there and was just able to hold off Zaro, who was a pretty good run, I thought. Zaro.
Cinderella story, this, Richie, $1,800 buy.
Yes, and they ran her in this race instead of in the Cuny because the acceptance fee for this race was $65 and the Cuny was $2,500. So.
There you go.
Yeah, so they...
Moonee Valley Oaks?
Well, I'd expect that's where Tahuna Gold would go. It'd be the logical next choice, and, you know, we would have to say that she'll be competitive.
Good on you, Johnny Gunning.
Absolutely.
Top bloke.
On we go to the Blood Horse Breeders' Stakes. 2-year-old fillies, 1,200 metres. Question, have the Freedmans unearthed another late golden slipper aspirant in the shape of a Danehill filly called Crowned Glory in the black and red stripes, and this is the softest win you've ever seen.
Spectroscope on the inside and Costly Edition leading from Madame Chloe wider out. Eamon Ruby is just behind them, followed wider out. Crown Glory starting to come home well. Anatomy getting a run through the pack, and they've got away on Sweet City Sue, and then Cotton Socks and Storm at Midnight at the 300 metres now, and Crown Glory whizzed up on the outside and dashed to the lead over Spectroscope, and then Anatomy back behind those horses. Madame Chloe can't go on. Crown Glory the leader. Spectroscope is 2 lengths astern. Coming home is Sweet City Sue on the outside with Eamon Ruby, but Crown Glory hasn't been touched, and look at it go to the line. Crown Glory in a common canter, won it by 2 lengths to Sweet City Sue and Spectroscope in a photo. Just behind those to finish then was Eamon Ruby.
2 to 1 favourite, 8 to 1 and 10 to 1. She looked pretty impressive. Let's see what Lee and Damien thought about it.
Yeah, I've always had a high opinion of her, Andrew. She's, I was quite amazed that the Blue Diamond winner actually beat her last start,
right,
because she really did defeat it comprehensively at Mornington, and it was obviously the soft ground that you know, sort of held her back a bit there. But today she showed her true colours, and you know, onwards to the slipper.
Well, Riesling in 3 weeks, Golden Slipper. You're pretty cool. Would you like to stay on?
Well, you won't get me off, huh?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, she does. I mean, like, you know, it's a long way away. She's got to go the reverse direction comfortably, but she's certainly doing everything right at the moment, and her racing etiquette is just improving all the time.
The acceleration today was the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, and quick time too, and you know, I gave her as soft a win as possible because, you know, with these 2-year-olds, they can be a bit fragile, so you've got to keep as much in the tank with them as you can.
Yeah, I was really thrilled with her, Andrew. Obviously, with the form line, you wanted to see her do it. I've had a great opinion of her all the way through, and after last week's result with the Blue Diamond, I thought, well, we're right in the ball game, and really, you wanted to see her come here and do that today. She's run great time. She's broken 1:10, which is great run for a 2-year-old, I think, and one ease down by 3. So, you know, we'll head to Sydney and we'll run in the Riesling, and if she adapts that way and everything goes according to Hoyle, then we'll run on the slipper.
Is she the one that you've sort of had in your mind for the slipper in Sydney?
Yeah, I have had it in the back of my mind, and that was confirmed after she ran in the Verve Calico, and she didn't handle the track at all that day, and I couldn't run her 3 weeks in a row. I'd never do that to a 2-year-old filly. And I said after that, well, today's the make or break. If she's as good as we think she is, then we'll be heading to Sydney. So I'm really happy.
Are you really happy too, Richard?
I'm delighted. I think that's... I'm also delighted for Guri Pasture Company and Eduardo Cuenco, because Eduardo's putting an enormous amount into racing in Australia in the form of the San Miguel sponsorships, which in Sydney you'd be very familiar with. We're a little less familiar with it here, but this is his filly, and you know, if she can go up and be competitive in the slipper and then in the San Miguel Classic, I'm sure he'll be absolutely delighted. She's always had a habit of swishing a tail like that. She's done it in track work, and she's done it from the day she was broken in. She just holds her tail up like that. She's quite a nice filly, and I think I don't think the Sydney direction will worry her. I actually think she may be a little more comfortable the Sydney way.
Come on, Richie. Brussels sprouts to roast potatoes there. You're going all right with her?
Yeah, we're happy with her. I mean, she is in the class of the ones we've taken to Sydney for the slipper before, so it's just a matter of whether she gets there right and gets the breaks on the day.
Hey, Richard, she doesn't waste any action either, does she? Very economical.
No, you're absolutely right, Tabby. She's a real daisy cutter. She just lifts them as far as she has to skim over the top, which I think accounts for why she doesn't really like really like soft going, because she tends to slide her feet over the ground and probably loses a bit of confidence when the ground shifts underneath her as well.
All right, on to race 4, 4-year-olds and upward mares, 1,700 metres, and the Graham Rogerson trained Blue Paris gets home in the Grand Archway colours.
Into the straight at the 400, Royal Centuriac the inside, Flirty Bird coming after her, Blue Paris about to ease off their heels, Tara's Eel called on, and then Hooker Savannah's a fair way back. They got to the 200 and Blue Paris came with a run on the outside to join Royal Centuriac. Flirty Bird can't go on. Here's Hooker starting to come home. Blue Paris the leader. Hooker's coming after her with 100 to go. Hooker's raced up now to Blue Paris. Blue Paris fights on strongly, finds, and Blue Paris beat Hooker by a head. Photo third between O'Joy and Royal Centuriac. Then came Oregon Star. Savannah didn't go on. Flirty Bird weakened. Spring Hill Express towards the...
Damien Oliver up 4-1, 16-1 and 5-1. Savannah favourite 13-4. Hooker was going to go straight past her.
Definitely.
What a ride by Damien Oliver, Richard. He's having a fantastic run at the moment.
Champion jockey, puts him in the right spot all the time. I mean, there was another case of you thought Hooker was going to go straight past the one that was against the fence, but it seemed very difficult if you were off the fence to get past the leader. But you've got to admire this mare, Blue Paris, in the Eric Watson colours here going to the front. She has won, I think she's been first over the line in her last 5 races and had one taken off her in the steward's room under protest, so that's a fantastic effort for any mare.
OK, on we go to race 5. 3-year-old Colson Geldings, 1,400 metres. The winner was a 20-1 Humphrey Go-Kart. That didn't deter one well-known Sky Channel punter, I must say. And Humphrey Go-Kart did the job in great style.
Go-Kart pulled out, and next is Barsack to catch the leader. El Caballo comes out at 250 to go. Grand Anchor a length and a half away, starting to close. Then Rustic Miss and Humphrey Go-Kart the outside. El Caballo went to the cash. Grand Anchor in turn with Humphrey Go-Kart are coming. Old Humphrey's moved up fast on the outside. He's put his head in front. As you do, rattling home, Humphrey Go-Kart. Humphrey Go-Kart in a surprise beat Grand Anchor. As you do, or El Caballo for third. A photo finish.
20-1, 9-4 favourite, and 15-1. Kenny Keys trains the winner, and Sydney sider Chris Muntz was the jockey. If they remake Casablanca, I reckon we'll find a spot for Humphrey Go-Kart, won't we?
Absolutely. Yeah. Who are you talking about, by the way?
Who, the punter?
Yeah.
As if you don't know.
Carry on.
Shadow had a nice little win there, boys.
Yeah, I thought it was a good win. His best form is here, Humphrey Go-Kart. He's won his 2 best races here at Flemington. He loves the track, and he loves it when there's pace on, and there was a bit of pace on in this race. Grand Anchor's a good, honest horse. He sort of grounded the line well, but just couldn't match the last couple of 100 metres with Humphrey Go-Kart, and the run of the race is probably the grey horse coming into the frame now, as you do, and he flashed up, and the rider was quizzed about his ride on that horse, and stewards were satisfied that he took all precautions, but he was reprimanded for not improving when it was possible earlier in the race.
Hey, Richard, what were the instructions to Jimmy Cassidy before the Roy Higgins quality?
Well, I think they're self-evident. If you watch the race, you're going to find out.
Well, Jimmy took Dynamic Tycoon, a 9-1 pop to the lead, and nicked off at about the 600 metres mark and ran them ragged. Here they are turning for home.
Sir Grey, Sky Trist, down the outside is Future Shock coming with Our Needles, and then Defence Force, Ocean Bird, and back behind those Listenings, Joy, Dynamic Tycoon, inside the 300, still about 4 lengths to Sky Trist giving chase, Sir Grey battling away, and then Future Shock followed by Our Needles, but Dynamic Tycoon, it's been a dynamic front-running ride. It's 3 in front of Sky Trist, who can't get there, and Dynamic Tycoon all the way wins it by 3. Sky Trist, Future Shock third, Sir Grey fourth, then Our Needles, Defence Force.
9-1, 4-1 favourite, 15-1. That was a double for the Freedman camp. Danny Beasley rode a horse in that called Sir Grey, a one-pace type, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely, Johnny. He's a very real dour, staying type of horse, and I followed the leader, had to take the field up to him, but the leader was a very good effort. He just kept powering on, and yeah, we just couldn't take any ground off him. Even at the sort of like the 1200, I went to improve up, and Jimmy just kept giving him a little bit of rain. He just kept improving on. Very impressive win.
Richard Shadow just asked a question here during the replay. Jim Cassidy hasn't really ridden a lot for your stable, has he?
Well, it's only because I think Damien has always been available to us, and, you know, they're both great riders, but Damien we've had, you know, a connection with since he was 15 years of age, so I think that's the only reason. We've got enormous respect for Jim as a rider, especially on a horse that needs a few different, maybe unorthodox tactics, and Jim's a master of those, and I think he showed there he was prepared to rate the horse in front, didn't care how far in front he got, he was just prepared to ride the horse how he felt the horse was going. And, you know, he did well. That's his first win, Dynamic Tycoon, since he won the Darwin Derby nearly 2 years ago. It took him a while to get over the trip, Simon. You can't imagine why.
Bit of mail about he might be a nice little jumper too, Richard.
Oh, well, there you go. We are schooling him, and I think if he can jump as well as he can run along in front, he's a natural hurdler.
Good to see gearing tactics like that, isn't it?
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
He's by Last Tycoon. Now, apart from Mahogany, who won 2 derbies, do many of them stay?
He does get the odd stayer in the Northern Hemisphere. You know, down here they've been basically restricted to sprint miles and up to middle distance, but he does get the odd one that can stick on. So, you know, that horse certainly can, so we don't have to worry about him. But no, you would be right, Tappy. It's not the norm here in Australia.
Last race, sorry, Dan.
I think the main perception with the Last Tycoons are that they're fresh horses, so most people are inclined to keep them to sprinting and keep them fresh rather than trying to make them stick.
Well, you're right there, Danny, because he's actually trained off the farm, so we keep him very fresh that way, you know, and that's exactly right. Good doing your homework, Dan, I see.
Oh, he does. I'll tell you, the best example of a fresh Last Tycoon was Mahogany, who ran in the Cox Plate after a 6-week break.
Yeah,
I mean, I believe that was one of the finest training performances to ever come out of the Freedman camp, Richard.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tappy. I appreciate that. And that's not only me. I was a little more involved with that horse at that time because Lee was suspended for most of that preparation. He had a 4-month suspension. But yeah, that was really at Lloyd Williams' direction, that he wanted the horse trained that way. So we sort of adapted what we did to fit the mould there. But it was a bit of a challenge. I think it's fairly difficult to do it in Australia because we generally don't have the same training facilities they do in places like England and that where they do it regularly. But it shows it's not impossible. What about Johnny Miller training a horse first up to win the Perth Cup?
Right.
Amazing.
Yep, it can be done. Now, the 9th and final event, 4-year-olds and upwards, 2,000 metres. Short price favourite gets home in the last at 15-8, Tristace.
Sharp Lord, followed further back then as they cornered by Stout into the Mystery, and Shane's Castle is last when they swing the corner by the 500 metres now, and Simply Success straight up on the outside. Landelac coming after it. George on Broadway battling the rail. Down the outside is Eastern Court. Navajo Poet pulled out wide. Tristace has got through the pack at the 300 and dashed to the lead over Simply Success. Rocky Sunrise coming home well. Landelac battling away with Eastern Court and Navajo Poet out wider, but Tristace is away and home at the 120. Fallings to Rocky Sunrise. Navajo Poet running on well down the outside, but Tristace and Brett Preble are set for a comfortable win. Tristace first by about 3 to Navajo Poet and Rocky Sunrise. A gap in the field to Eastern Court. Landelac Weekend, and they're followed by Simply Success, George on Broadway.
15-8 favourites, 16-1 and 10-1. Well, Danny Beasley incurred a suspension, you know, at Randwick last Sunday, so you've got about 8 days off.
Yeah, got 8 days, so might be able to have a couple of days celebration.
Yeah, you're still going to ride work though, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of too important time of the year to be getting away, so I'll keep in touch with the bases and keep poking along.
Danny, you're having a lot of success in Sydney. You're currently second on the Jockeys Premiership at the moment behind Larry Cassidy.
Yeah, it's been terrific, Joe. The success that I've had this season, I've had great support from trainers like Gay Waterhouse and Gary Moore, Ron Quinton, and from the even a lot of country trainers too. A lot of support, and the winners have kept rolling on, and just hope they keep going.
The partnership with Gay Waterhouse in particular has really started to flourish, hasn't it?
Yeah, no, Gay's horses, I love riding them. They're always hard fit, and you can make a bit of use of them. And she never ties you down to instructions. She sort of lets you ride your own races, and she's great to ride for and great to work for. I've built up a great combination with Gay, and she's a pleasure to ride for and pleasure to go to the track and work for every morning.
Mate, now, what about your workload? I mean, you're probably going to have to give serious consideration to cutting something out. You've been turning up at Port Macquarie, Taree, Kickatinalong and Galagan.
Yeah, I've got a few of the country meetings out this year, and just mainly been going to the country cups or the major
country meetings, but I still go to all the provincials.
One thing they learn, I was just going to say, Dan, one thing you learn at the Freedman stable is to work. Because you and Dee Oliver and all the other apprentices we've had through the place, we never miss them. So I reckon that's, you know, we're taking a little bit of credit for the great work ethic that he has, because he didn't have any choice at our place.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing Lee, I always remember Lee saying to me is the harder you work, the more you put in, the more you take out. And it's one thing he did say to me, and I remember that, and it's as true as word couldn't be said.
Yeah, you know the old adage, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Yeah.
Did you ride a winner at Kickatinalong?
The light plane trips you like, isn't it, Danny?
Yeah, the plane trips are good.
Yeah. Congratulations again, Dan, on yesterday. As I said at the start of the show today, that you'll never forget. And may the force continue to be with you, my boy.
Thank you very much, Graham.
Good to have you on the show. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, John.
Well done, mate.
Love to Karen.
Thanks, John.
And your family too. Be watching at Wagga today, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they'll be watching.
Mum and Dad. Yeah. All right, well, there he is. The very likeable, the very talented Danny Beasley is our very special guest here on Racing Retro. We've got another guest coming in very shortly, Brian York. We'll introduce you to Brian York soon. But we're going to a break on Retro, and as we go to a break, the last word from the chairman of stewards in Melbourne, Des Gleeson.
Race 2, Troubadour was always well back and seemingly in trouble.
Yes, he was. Luke Nolan was really at a loss to explain what was wrong with the horse, but it got back, as you said, in the early and middle stages and really wanted to hang out. And when he put it under pressure in the straight, it did want to hang out. And he thought that something was wrong with it, so he didn't ride it out in his normal manner over the concluding stages. But the veterinary surgeon had a really good look at it, and he couldn't find anything wrong with it. Now, Mr. Hawlacey said that the horse on a good track in South Australia previously did jar up and perform poorly there, so maybe something will come up over the next 24 hours which will explain his performance today.
All right, in race 5 you had a chat with Danny Nikolic in regard to As You Do.
Yes, As You Do had won its 2 most recent starts, but it was first up after a couple of months and it got back, which is its normal pattern of racing, and Danny Nikolic said he elected to wait until the entrance to the straight rather than race wide to improve his position. And it did make up a tremendous amount of ground over the concluding stages to finish a good third, but we told Danny Nikolic, in our view, he should have made an effort to improve his position near the 600 metres, where he did have the opportunity to do so.
All right, and then a couple of things in the second last. Firstly, I Am a Ripper, who, of course, was the live horse in the Triple Crown Series there. Was up forward but dropped out pretty quickly in the straight.
Yes, she is a filly that has mixed a form in the past, and she did race outside the lead, or led early and then raced outside the lead around in the home turn, and Patrick Payne said she didn't feel comfortable and he thought she was distressed after the race. She did give ground in the straight. The veterinary surgeon has examined her and he said she was showing some signs of distress, and we've also taken a swab sample from her.
And one to follow, Brillant, Bart Cummings' horse.
Yes, Brillant really had difficulty getting a clear run in the straight, and about the 200 metres, or approaching the 200 metre, he had to check when disappointed a front between Shalt Knot and Umaline, which had come from behind Brillant and improved through on its inside. So certainly she didn't have much luck, and I'm sure that she'll improve on today's run.
Do you want the latest race?
350 metres to go, and Sports Freak raced up and hit the lead. Sports Freak kicked away, followed by Recall running on. Stan Mark under the whip on the inside, and then Bias Bay. It's Sports Freak the leader, a length in front. Recall on the outside is trying hard. They're clear. Under the whip, the leader was Sports Freak. 3/4 of a length in front of Recall, and Sports Freak about a half a length. Sports Freak has won the Guineas, second. Recall. Wingrave third.
Well, Sports Freak winning the Canberra Guineas on Thursday. You would have noticed he carried blue and yellow colours, the Parramatta colours. His owner, Peter Wynn, is a former Parramatta star. His jockey was Brian York, who joins us now. Brian, congratulations on your win on Fairway yesterday. You rode at Canberra Thursday afternoon, Canterbury Thursday night, Barrier Trials Friday morning, Warwick Farm yesterday. How'd you sleep last night?
Pretty well. Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was pretty hammered on Friday afternoon. But you know, this day and age, there's a lot of racing on. You've got to do it, I suppose, and you've got to get it while it's there.
Now, mate, Fairway, 7 out of 11. Everybody at Warwick Farm wanted to tell you he was underdone yesterday. Couldn't win.
Yeah, well, we did too. I think we all went to the races yesterday expecting him to get beaten. So, you know, to go away with a win was a nice surprise, and you know, it just shows that he's a fairly good horse.
They played into your hands a bit. There was a mad rush for the lead coming to the turn.
Yeah, it's probably helped me a lot because when Shane took off around on Shogun Lodge, Hoover and the other horses on the outside of me went up as well. And I suppose if I'd have tried to, or attempted to go with him, he would have knocked up because he wasn't really fit enough to do that. But I just sort of sat back there a little bit longer and got the inside run, and he hit the line quite well. So he handles the track pretty well too, which would have helped.
Yep. Brian will deal with the Hobartville in more detail a little later, but here's the first of the day at the farm. 3-year-old fillies, a mile, and Dot the I's headed in the straight, looked beaten, but fought back to record a courageous win. She's favourite at 2-1.
Dot the I's under pressure. Shadow Play the fence and Winona coming to the outside. Fly By Night in front. Dot the I's is going to come back fighting. It's Fly By Night about a neck in front of Dot the I's. Who's responding? Dot the I's coming at Fly By Night. Dot the I's again finishing the better. Fly By Night just in front. Deadly tight. Dot the I's or Fly By Night. If I had to have a go, maybe the inside, but it is...
Yeah, Dot the I's came again to win. Jason Lee for his dad, David. 2-1 favourite, 5-1, 13-4. And that was the only race you didn't ride in.
That's right, my horse was scratched in that race. But I think the interesting thing about that was that it set the pattern for the rest of the day, that horses up on the speed were more or less dominating, and it was very hard for horses to come from behind.
Pretty good effort by the winner because she was headed by those two horses at one stage of the race and fought back, and I think that's a pretty good effort considering the heavy going as well, Brian.
It was, yeah, very good effort.
She ran a very good race in the Lightfinger Stakes at Randwick. She wasn't far away.
She's pretty smart, Dot the I's. Trainer took her rather, to Melbourne to contest some of the better races there in the spring, and she'll figure again.
I think you're right. Second race, 2-year-old fillies. Talking to Guy Walter before the race, and he told us on air that Speciality had plenty of ability, but as far as the heavy track was concerned, Guy said, I couldn't tell you. We'll have to wait and see. Well, do you think she doesn't fancy wet ground? She bolted in at 13-2. Craig Carmody up, and here she comes down the outside.
A great burst of the 200, and she dashed to the front. Speciality raced away from Klarzig and Bluebird Hill. Impala Star with the gold cap on the outside running on, but it's all Speciality. She's cruising away the last 50 metres, and Speciality pricks her ears, has a good look at the crowd and wins by 4 lengths. Bluebird Hill in a photo with Impala Star for second and third.
13-2 Speciality, 8-1 Bluebird Hill, 60 Impala Star. Favourite Shansi ran last at 15-8. Winners by Brocco. I don't want to take anything away from Speciality, but it looked to me as though most of the others were really struggling in the ground.
And she wasn't. She handled the muddy going very well yesterday. Brian, you were on board her last start. You could probably gauge how much ability she's got from that run alone. Is she something promising?
Yeah, she goes quite good. I mean, that race that I rode her in at Randwick was too short for her, and I said to Guy that she probably wants 1200 at least. And also she was interfered with quite badly in the middle stages of the race, so she got further back than she should have, and she got the line quite well, so she does go pretty good.
Yeah.
She carries the Katima colours, the Mackay family, who can come up with a smart filly.
Absolutely.
Now, third race, 3-year-olds and up, 2,200 metres. Not the most star-studded event you've ever seen on the Australian turf. A field of only 6. And here's Ronnie, a Brisbane and Sydney Cup place-getter, was just too good for these horses.
He's run his race almost. On the outside, Northern Rover is running home resolutely. Here's Ronnie in front. Can he keep going? I reckon he can. 150 to go. He's shot well clear now from Northern Rover, Mariah River Lad, Yelleroy the fence, our Mr. Kinman Subway. But here's Ronnie. He was a stamp above this lot, and he's going to kill them. Win home and won by 5 lengths on the line. Yelleroy second, Mariah River Lad third from Subway.
Winners trained by John McNair, who can sure get one to stay. 5-2 favourite, 11-4, and Mariah River Lad, Brian's mount, at 4-1. Didn't look very happy in the ground.
Wasn't really. The winner was always travelling better than me. I mean, he's a pretty good mudlark. He is, Ronnie. But I think when the rain came at the end of the week, it's changed the whole complexion of most races. And I think that horse was the best day in wet track on the day.
Yeah, well, he placed in the Sydney Cup on a pretty heavy track, not unlike yesterday, and no doubt he's heading towards that race again.
You can bet your bottom dollar. Now, race 4, 3-year-olds and up, 2 Metropolitan wins, 1,400. Now, you don't need a champion to enjoy racing. All you need is a juggling time. This horse came from the bush and has won about $100,000 in no time flat. He sweats up something awful before he races, so there's one theory that goes out the window. He's at 4-1 yesterday, favourite Anchiano at 11-4. Look at him go from the Ron Quinton stable.
Who can do no better from Passmore Zodiac Star. Look at Myella Red out on the outside fence running home, but Juggling Time does it again. He's too good. He wins it from Myella Red second, Anchiano third, then Passmore Zodiac Star.
That horse has had 21 starts for 8 wins, 8 seconds and 1/3 Juggling Time. Talk about a fun horse.
How long's Ron Quinton had him?
I'm not quite sure, actually, Graham. It's a good question.
Yeah.
But, gee, the horse gets himself in a mess before a race. He was extremely uptight in the mounting yard yesterday, sweating up an absolute treat, but didn't affect his performance at all. That's his second consecutive win, and I'm sure on that performance yesterday alone, there's plenty more in store.
Doesn't stop him winning, but you'd still rather not see it.
For sure.
What did you write in that, mate?
I rode Passmore. He won a better race. He hasn't won since he won the Silver Slipper last year, but his last 2 runs have been a lot better. So, you know, he may come back into form, and we might even put blinkers on him. I suggested to Jack Denham that it might be about time that he did have him back on.
Brian, Hugh Bowman was the winning rider on Juggling Time yesterday, and I'd be interested to hear your opinion on his abilities.
He goes very good, Hugh. He rides a lot of winners, and he's a quiet guy, and he seems to learn plenty. He looks keen to learn, and he's riding very well. He's patient.
By the way, how's the Duchess of York?
She's good. She'll be at home watching.
Oh, misses nothing, they tell me, on Sky Racing.
Yeah, she tells me everything that happens. She knows more about what's going on during the day than I do.
She's most astute.
Yep, for sure.
The Duke and Duchess of York, is that what you're saying?
The Duke and Duchess of York, we call them. Yep.
Good.
Now, the Hobartville Stakes, Group 2, 3-year-olds, 1,400 metres, and this is a lovely, patient ride by B. York on Fairway.
Over away with them, Commands away quickly with Fairway, and Condotti wide out away smartly. Shogun Lodge showing a bit of early speed. He's the deepest runner. Matter of Honour now pinging up on the fence, and Getty's not far away. Condotti leads Commands with Matter of Honour on the rail. Over's in 4th position. Shogun Lodge going back as Fairway starts to improve from poking around. Liberty Hall and Colosseum the tail ender. Condotti 3 out. Matter of Honour the fence. Commands the centre. They're the leaders at the 1,000 metres mark. 2 lengths away Fairway on his outside over. 1 away is Getty, then poking around the fence. Out deep Shogun Lodge. 2 lengths Liberty Hall. And still Colosseum the trailer. 800 metres to go on the Hobartville, and it's an over Castrian in front. Matter of Honour. Leading by 3/4 on Commands, and a neck away the outside is Condotti. 2 lengths to Fairway, over Camp behind those, and there's Dye going around them on Shogun Lodge. He's putting him into the fray, and Getty's inside of him. 2 lengths to Liberty Hall, then poking around in Colosseum. The race on in earnest at the 400 metres mark. Condotti, Matter of Honour together. Commands in the centre, splits the pair. Very wide out is over in the cerise colours, and Shogun Lodge out deep on the track from Getty, and then came Liberty Hall. In the straight, they're across the track, and Shogun Lodge is after over. Still there, Condotti fighting back. Fairway behind those running on. It's Condotti, Shogun Lodge over from Fairway. Over just in front of Condotti, and Shogun Lodge levelling up. Fairway the inside. Over Condotti. Fairway bursting up on the fence. Fairway grabbed the lead, and a great win by Fairway. He won the Hobartville Stakes. Overran second. Condotti third from Shogun Lodge and Commands. Then Liberty Hall.
At 7 out of 11 for Fairway, $662,000. He cost 40 as a yearling. 9-1. Now, Over got second on Protest at 13-8 favourite, and Condotti at 6-1. You know something, Duke? Come Derby Day, you're going to be in a better position than most other jockeys in that race, because if you have to, or if you want to, you can lead on that horse.
Yeah, it's always an option with him, because he's done it before. He won the Spring Champion Stakes in front, and if there's no speed on, it doesn't matter if he leads.